Okay, so up first, we're going back into the stadiums. We're going back into live, I hope. So first up, we're going to introduce the panel. We've got two here and we've got one overseas. So we've got Milan Rokic from Sliding Doors. We've got Marshall New from AEG, one of the biggest promoters in the world, is live on stage with us today. And somewhere in Germany, Marshall, please. Somewhere, I think in Berlin, hopefully, we're going to see Quentin from Epic, from Unreal Engine. And if you want to know how cool that is, that's Fortnite. There he is. We have the Fortnite guy. This is the guy who produces live shows in Fortnite. That's cool, huh? Yeah? There you go. So anyway, so we've got two live guys and we've got the Unreal guy. And Quentin used to live in Singapore, so he knows you all as well. So thank you so much, all of you, for joining. It's great to see everyone here. We've been doing this for a day and a half, and I still love to see human beings. And I know you're all smiling behind your face masks. So, live matters. Now, what we're going to do, we're going to have a little bit of a global view from Marshall. Then we're going to have a local view from here, because we just did a show, right? You just did a show?
Did a show.
Milan just did a live show in Singapore, and then we're going to go to the cool kid in Berlin and talk about what's going on in the metaverse. So Marshall, give us the report card, the global report card. What is going from an AEG perspective or the live industry perspective? What's going on around the world?
Yeah, it's really exciting what's going around the world. Challenged here in Singapore, obviously, so we have a different view. But if you look at the US, where a lot of our business is based, and the UK as well, live is back. And you just mentioned that at the top of your introduction, where the energy and the excitement that people bring when they're in a room, when you have that critical mass, that energy, that's a really primal thing that humans want. And they've spoken with their wallets. So with the restrictions easing in the US and in the UK, we've sold out every single show we put on sale. We're forecasted to have the best year ever next year in terms of live entertainment. We just secured a $700 million naming rights deal for the Staples Center in Los Angeles, which will now be called the Crypto.com Arena. Again, validation that live entertainment, that live experience is valuable because it's scarce. I'm curious to hear, obviously, the thoughts that Quentin will have on streaming, and I have my own thoughts. But from a global perspective, live is back and stronger than ever.
What about close to home? What about Asia Pacific?
I mean, it's the same people, right? It's human nature, and we expect that with the easing of restrictions, there's no reason why Asia wouldn't have that same sort of V-shaped recovery for live entertainment. And Milan can attest to that with his show that he just did, I'm sure.
Good segue. So Milan, you just did. Tell everyone, who are you, and you just did the show. What did you just do? And you're going on sale tomorrow, or your new show's starting tomorrow.
New show opens tomorrow. Yeah. My company, Sliding Doors Entertainment. Historically, we've been Cirque du Soleil's promoter throughout the region and promoted musical theatre and some of the larger shows that have been presented in Singapore and regionally. But we haven't been able to rely on international acts coming in. Cirque du Soleil went basically bankrupt in March of last year, and that decimated 60% of my company, maybe even more, because we were so reliant on that business. So instead of trying to look for a pipeline of content that would come from internationally, we decided let's create content that is specifically designed for the parameters of the restrictions. And hence we've designed our own cabaret-style circus called La Clique, which was able to perform in anything from 200 seats upwards, depending on what the rules of the day would be. So we went on sale with a capacity of 100, and about a week later it went up to 250, and then it went up to 1,000, but with various rules, etc. And we kept our capacity at 400 to keep intimacy and the experience. But yeah, 8 weeks, 60 performances, and a full international cast, and augmented with some great local Singaporean musicians.
So did anyone here go to La Clique? It was at Marina Bay Sands. You went? Did you enjoy it? Wasn't it great? The best thing was, like, everyone had face masks on, but you could still see that their eyes were smiling because it was just great to be back in a room again to see live. And yeah, it wasn't the full kind of Cirque du Soleil thing, but and you could see the artists were enjoying themselves as well.
They were. Those artists had not performed for nearly 2 years themselves, and they were dormant in all corners of the world, whether from our sword swallowers from Coney Island, New York. We had acrobats from Berlin and performers that had been in Edinburgh, every year and performing in the biggest shows. And they were just thrilled to be allowed into the country to create a harmony together with a creative team. And they put everything into it and didn't leave anything behind. And I think that was the outcome for the show.
So it can't have been easy.
Yeah.
What were the challenges?
We commenced work in the project in April of 2020. And basically, we were going to bring a Spiegel tent out from Europe, and what's a Spiegel tent? Yeah, a Spiegel tent is a European cabaret tent made of wood and stained glass windows. They're beautiful performance spaces, and build a Belgian beer garden in the front and have a full customer experience. And this type of cabaret circus is as much about the customer experience as it is about the show that's inside the tent. That was going to open then in November. We couldn't get the capacity above 250, so the economics didn't work, and we had to then reimagine how to do it, and hence the conversation with Marina Bay Sands, and we created our own circus environment within one of their convention centres. So recreation of the venue is one challenge. The requirements on border restrictions and having to work with the authorities to get people in from 8 different countries was a challenge as well. The rules around SMMs, the safe management measures, was a challenge just to ensure that we interpreted them correctly, we delivered properly, and we kept everyone safe. And then it was about, people's nervousness, because with the cases going up and down, the lockdowns or the restrictions going up and down, whilst you could still go and entertain yourself, people were nervous about going outside, and still are, and so that consumer confidence was low.
Except for Vivo on Sunday.
Yeah. True. Yeah. And then I guess the other part was really creating a consumer experience where, you can't have a drink during the show or a drink pre-show. Everyone's socially distant, and part of the experience of going to live is that, I guess, that communal experience where everyone's together enjoying something close together in proximity. And by having social distance, you don't get that vibe naturally. And so the artists had to drag that out of the audiences by really getting them into it and say, reaffirming how proud they were to be on stage delivering that experience.
And they were singing.
Yes.
That hasn't happened here for quite a while. How many performers are here? How many of you are artists? Show of hands. Oh, there's more than that. And so you managed to get. I don't need to find out how you managed to get the performance, but they were performing. And I went, and it was great. It was brilliant to see people smiling. We're going to go to the cool kid on the block, Quentin. You're in Berlin, I believe. Quentin.
That's right.
Please.
Hi,
I think
Jasper.
Your video may have frozen, but we can hear you. Tell everyone who you are and what you do with Epic and Unreal Engine.
Hey, great to be here, Jasper. So basically, I work with creators and artists around Europe, Asia, and Southeast Asia. To use our technology, the game, the technology that's underlying Fortnite, and continue to create and bring a new audience to various virtual channels. And so we've been trying to demonstrate what the famed Metaverse can be. Nobody really knows where I think it is, what it is, but we've been trying to demonstrate in Fortnite what it can be. And before the pandemic, we had already started. You may have remembered the Marshmallow concert in Fortnite was one of the first experiment of the kind. But obviously, with the pandemic hitting in late 2019 and in 2020, we found ourselves for a while being one of the few with some of our competitors of the venues open. And so we were, there was a spotlight fundamentally on our experiment around live music inside video games. So we pushed the experiment and with very exciting results, and try to understand how we can continue that. And what we're hoping is that we don't think games are a replacement for life and for physical connection with people, but we think it's probably a new tour stop. We'd hope that artists would, like they go around the world, they would select a few corners of the metaverse and create new experience for their audience. It's a new canvas. The creative the creative process is different, but it gives an opportunity to connect with your audience in new immersive way, to reach new audience, because those games have massive global new audiences of tens of millions. So it's also a new reach. I think also obviously new revenue opportunities for artists. Most games work now with microtransactions, so that's all opportunities to sell merchandising, sponsorships, and it's a new way to collaborate also between artists. So and really create new experience. Recently I was mind-blowing things that just came out on PlayStation and other stores. I don't know if you've seen the Radiohead, where they picked up tons of their old material from 20 years ago, from Kid A and Amnesia, put it back together in a different immersive ways, and literally created a totally new experience for their fan and for new audiences they hadn't reached before. So yeah, really exciting, I think, to see that transformation. I think we'll see more and more experiment around hybrid, and streaming is one, but the interactivity that these technologies and games bring makes it a lot more rich than the usual streaming or video opportunities that we've seen. So we're very excited to see the range of opportunity and the way artists have been engaging with those new audience and new creative tools fundamentally.
So I want to come on to hybrid with the three of you discussing what hybrid might look like. Everyone is saying the future's hybrid. This is hybrid. This event is hybrid. That has its own massive challenges, where you have keynote speakers who are unfortunately off to the hospital. You have people who are in. I mean, you got up early this morning, Quentin. Thank you very much for that. Hazel's going. You've got time zones you've got to worry about, and all that kind of stuff. So we're going to talk about hybrid in a bit. But Quentin, final question for you before we get into a thing. And by the way, everyone, what a great opportunity to ask some questions to this great panel. Quentin, how does someone work with you? How does someone work with Epic or with Unreal Engine, or how do the artists in the room do a concert in Fortnite?
Well, I think especially during the pandemic, where all other venues were kind of closed, we saw a surge of demand there. And the main game is typically very, very packed, because we can only give a certain number of experience, and so we tend to be booked long time in advance. But what most of those ourselves, Fortnite, and some of our competitors have been doing is starting to create space where artists can come and create their own experience, and where the same audience goes. So in Fortnite, we call this Fortnite Creative, and we have third-party creators that build new experiences within that space, and artists can then work with those creators and still reach the same audience than Fortnite, but really not depend on really working directly with Epic and our creative team, etc. So I think for artists in general, exploring those spaces that are fundamentally open creative canvas is the fastest way to start experimenting and reaching those audience. When it comes to Fortnite main game, this is really, we have a team of partners that work, and like in a TV channel will select a certain number of artists and work, integrate experience in that main channel. So those are typically the two options you will see in most of those metaverse part. Main channels that are created by the people who run that's part of the metaverse, and then more open systems where creators can just create their own space and then advertise it like their own channels, etc.
So Marshall, AEG, one of the biggest promoters in the world. What does hybrid, does hybrid mean anything to AEG, or are you just going for live?
So for our company, our focus and our investments have all been around the live experience. The venues, the ticketing, the content itself. But I appreciate what Quentin said about the metaverse being one way to experience music, because that's what live is for us. It's one way to experience music. We believe it's the most valuable way, right? In terms of, if you look at the dollars spent on the infrastructure, on the sponsorship, on the ticketing, it's one that can't be disrupted, because again, virtually, if we were all sitting in a room, we wouldn't have that same energy. And if this room was triple the amount of people, there would be that much more buzz. That's a fact. So we are very much focused on how do we bring the best live experience. And the consumers have spoken with their wallet. That is valuable. They spend all day, especially now in a pandemic, on Zoom calls, staring at a screen. The last thing they want to do with their leisure time is to stare at the screen even more and actually pay to stare at the screen. We're paid to stare at the screen, not the other way around. To pay, So I think for our company, we're very much about how do we bring the best live experience in a safest manner, especially with this pandemic now, hopefully coming to an end and becoming more of an endemic where we just deal with it, and we can have a healthy debate about whether Singapore is approaching it in the way we would like them to approach this or not. But certainly the new normal for us is really more around how do we ensure a safe experience. But for this to work, that live experience, you need the critical mass. You need to be jammed together, shoulder to shoulder someone. You need to be able to dance. You need to be able to sing. We're selling a leisure experience. And if you put too many restrictions on that, it no longer becomes fun, therefore no one will spend the money, because the whole point of spending the money on a concert ticket is to have fun. And the artists, and we see this in data, you can have an artist that has an amazing following on Spotify, amazing millions of streams, but they can't sell a live ticket because their live show is not as good. So that just shows you, that live experience is one channel, but we believe for our company, it's the best channel. It's the most valuable, and we'll continue to double down on that.
So I'm going to go to, does anyone have any questions? But Quentin, the challenge has been laid down that it's all about shoulder to shoulder. Can the metaverse replace that? And let's think about this. I'm a 53-year-old guy, so I believe in live because I have been, and I work in the live industry. But an 18-year-old who's used to playing games, do you agree that live is shoulder to shoulder, or can the metaverse replace that, Quentin?
Well, I don't think any digital experience can 100% replace the physical experience. And I think I'm from the same year than you, and so I grew up in concerts, and I won't claim that I'll live the rest of my life on a screen without going to a concert. But I think they are not mutually exclusive, or I would challenge that one is better than the other. I think they're just part of the gamut of experience that an artist can create to communicate with his audience. And you're right, younger kids, probably have more affinity, or at least as much affinity with live interaction. And it's still very early, right? we're just starting to experience the presence of the metaverse and the intimity that it can create as virtual headsets become more popular and the experience they provide becomes more and more immersive, as things like haptics are introduced, as the whole network and the technology allows progressively more intimate, more one-to-one experience with artists, and more massive concert. Because at the beginning, right now, some of the concerts are still, despite being able to put millions of people online at the same time, the rooms and the experience space where they happen is still usually limited to a few hundred. But as the technology evolves over the next few years, I think you'll find an increased sense of presence in those experiences, and also we'll be able to simulate progressively more and more the feeling that Marshall was describing around being a huge group together in an experience. So I don't think it ever replaces, and I don't think that's the objective. I think it's just part of the range of tools that an artist can use to interact with their audience. But I think you'll see it evolve over the next few years, and it'll get closer and closer to a physical experience. You'll never reach there. I don't think we can reach that level. But it'll get closer and closer, and it'll create other ways for artists to create and communicate with their audience. Literally other creative opportunity. It's like a new canvas. It's like a new channel at the same time. But I don't think it's one or the other, or it needs to compete. It's just part of the whole package for artists.
Cool. Any questions? We have. Is that Mr. Dowler? No.
No, it's Jamie.
Oh, James. Sorry, I couldn't see. It's the guy with the face mask on.
Yes. I'll stand without a face mask. So yeah, I think I'll give a small opinion, if I may, just on the notion of hybrid. I think the word hybrid is a kind of condition of the pandemic, because we're in the business of entertainment, and entertainment can happen in many spaces. One of the thoughts that occurs to me across the various realms that we can entertain in is looking back over things like Hatsune Miku as a virtual character, or Gorillas, seeing what ABBA's doing out of London just now. As it applies to the live environment, my question to the panel would be, what do you see are some of the step-ups that the venues need to do in order to bring harmony between those online and offline spaces?
Marshall, good question.
Yeah, that's a great question. I think, and I agree with Quentin, the digital experience, whether it's metaverse or streaming, it can certainly complement the live. And Milan, when we were chatting earlier, made a good point about his son, who's 10 years old, and plays a lot of Fortnite. It helps with discovery of music, because you want to bring music or new music to where people are spending their time, right? They're not listening to the radio anymore. They're not even maybe streaming on Spotify as much anymore, but they're playing Fortnite. And if you can introduce new music there, then there's certainly value for an artist or a label to be there. But for a physical venue, for AEG, we have to look at the economics of it. It's very expensive to build these arenas, and technology continues to be innovative and advance, and it's not necessarily maybe a direct ROI at times to invest all of this bells and whistles into physical venues, but certainly on the festival side, AEG has been one of the pioneers of bringing really cool experiences to the live festival. We did years ago, it was a hologram of Tupac we did, and he performed with Snoop Dogg and with Dr. Dre, and that was fantastic. And it's all just different technology. That's a precursor to maybe what ABBA's doing and other artists. It's another way to create that musical experience and that interactivity or interaction with the artist. But again, from our perspective, the best seat in the house for that experience is a physical seat, or standing together in a room or a field with others. So I would say for our company, we'll certainly look to work with some of these digital service providers to enhance the artist experience, but it's a very simple business that we're in. We build the venues, we bring the shows, we ticket the shows, and we make sure the fans have the best time possible. So if there's some technology to be brought in to complement that and enhance that, we'll certainly look at that. But again, our core business remains unchanged. Just the last 2 years we all took vacation. Now we're back to work.
Level.
Yeah.
I'm calling you street level because you are the guy that just did the show. But what do you think venues can do to work with more digital?
I don't know if it's the venues. I think it's more the acts. It's about creativity. I was just thinking about evolution of rock and roll, of art, and whatever it is. And Motley Crue, getting a drum kit that can roll up and down and around was all about the creativity of those people who are conceiving the show. And I think the crossover is going to happen on an artistic level as opposed to a physical venue level.
Fantastic. Well, we're pretty much out of time. So my final question to the three of you. We'll start with Quentin. In a very short answer, what is really exciting for Epic and the Metaverse right now?
Well, I think more making Fortnite and those other things like Fortnite Creative more accessible to artists, and bringing more content and more audience, and providing an opportunity for revenue for artists also is what we are super excited about. And I think just to complete on the technology, what we see also is the same underlying technology that's used for game now is used also in concert for creating more immersive environment through video mapping, and also with AR. So I'm sure you'll see online where you can actually bring digital character through people's phones, literally inside the venue through their screen, and again make the experience richer. So at least at the team of Unreal, we look really excitedly at artists and what they are doing using the technology, and how they are creating those hybrid experience and enhancing their life experience, as well as creating totally new experience in the metaverse. So that's what we are super excited about.
Fantastic. Marshall, what's exciting?
I'm excited to go see my first concert in 2 years. I'm flying to Australia for the holidays with my family, and by then, hopefully there's no restrictions at all there, so you can have a concert the way we all used to. So very much looking forward to that.
Okay, and I'm setting this up perfectly for you.
You
What's exciting for you? And you've got your chance to sell tickets.
Thank you. Exciting for me is opening the Boom Boom Room live at Marina Bay Sands, opening tomorrow night, featuring Kumar and a magnificent cast of drag queens and a variety show. So this is a real experience. Go Get out there and see it.
Good luck to you, Milan. Thank you, Marshall. Quentin, thank you very much. Live matters, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Ed. Thank you.
Thank you, Jasper.